the election odds have been changing, obviously with the nominees being shifted around. So there is a concern that if there is a Republican presidency, that might bring more tariffs, and obviously a lot of the discussions are around tariffs at the moment. But in general, people are feeling that given we don't know what the outcome would be, we don't know what the policies would be, we don't know what the timing of the policies could be.
So until we do know.
So even in the previous Trump administration, the actual tariffs came in midway through the first term, right?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of uncertainty in terms of all of these dimensions, which is why I think people said that they've already made some money in some parts of the region, whether it's sort of tech, hardware, which we are seeing parts of semi, and so people are just de-risking. We are seeing that in US, we are seeing that in parts of Asia as well, but in Europe as well. So I think in the last 2 weeks, the amount of de-risking or degrossing we have seen is actually is the highest in multi-years. So there's been a very swift movement in the markets.
Does it feel on a macro level like the rubber is really hitting the road now in terms of the impact of record tightening by the Fed and possibly a recession, a growth scare, and is soft landing becoming increasingly implausible? When you look at numbers like Nissan, we were just talking about it, when you look at the reaction to Ford and Stellantis, consumer discretionary as well, is it really starting to bite? And are we getting this entire soft landing narrative wrong? And how do we approach that within Asia?
I think the growth in US has slowed over the course of the year, as we know, right? I mean, the recent data points have been a tad weaker, but we still think that overall consumer remains robust there. We still are in a non-recessionary camp, and we have been there, GS, I mean, even since last year. And we were sort of out of consensus non-recession call last year, which sort of became consensus earlier this year. So we still think the U.S. growth should actually pick up heading into the course of the year. But I think the real sort of concern, as I said, is more about the election uncertainty. I think even if you look at the numbers, many of the tech, hardware, semi companies, they actually had pretty decent numbers, including in Asia, whether it's Hynix or TSMC or the likes of those, which actually tells you it's not as much about the fundamentals anymore. It's more about de-risking in general.